The next day, Harry got out of bed and walked into the Great Hall. He still couldn't believe that the Gryffindors were plotting against him, and only a handful of Gryffindors were willing to put aside their own ambitions and work on the problem of school unity. But he wasn't going to quit, not when he had unintentionally created discord among the Gryffindors when he called for school unity. He needed to resolve that particular problem before things got worse. As Harry sat at the Ravenclaw table, he was largely unaware of a shadow that had been following him since the sorting night several months ago. The shadow had been tracking his every move, and they knew who Harry had interacted with during his time at Hogwarts. The shadow also knew about Harry's friendships with the Ravenclaws, as well as his rivalry with Ron and Hermione. This knowledge sent shivers down the shadow's metaphorical spine. Harry Potter, the boy who lived, befriending the most studious and unorthodox house. It was a puzzle waiting to be cracked. The shadow, whoever it belonged to, craved not just information, but understanding. Why was Harry drawn to these Ravenclaws, particularly Luna Lovegood with her penchant for outlandish tales? Was it a genuine connection, or something more strategic? The shadow decided to take a gamble. As the last of the pumpkin juice disappeared from Harry's goblet, a note materialized beneath it, seemingly out of thin air. The elegant script sent a jolt through Harry. It was written in Parseltongue, the language of snakes, a secret Harry thought only Voldemort and himself shared. The note read simply, "Meet me by the Whomping Willow after curfew. Alone." Harry's heart hammered against his ribs. Who could this be? An enemy using his deepest secret against him, or perhaps an unlikely ally. The shadow, whoever they were, had just thrown Harry into a maelstrom of intrigue, and the thrill of the unknown warred with the gnawing fear of a trap. He glanced at Luna, her head buried in a book titled Fantastic Fungi and Their Forgotten Folklore, completely oblivious. Steeling himself, Harry tucked the note into his pocket, a silent promise to unravel the mystery of the shadow looming over his Hogwarts experience. For the rest of that day, all Harry could do was obsess over the message. Philip, Eleanor, Duncan, and Candace seemed to pick up on his unease. Luna, ever perceptive, finally nudged him with a dreamy smile. "Having a bad day, Harry?" Harry hesitated. Confiding in them felt tempting, but the message felt like a secret passage, one that could lead him down a dangerous path best navigated alone. "Just the strange note," he finally admitted, his voice low, opting not to reveal the Parseltongue part. His friends exchanged concerned glances. "Anything we can do to help," said Duncan. Harry appreciated their concern. He valued their genuine loyalty, their shared thirst for knowledge that often led to late-night discussions in the common room, and the comfortable silences that accompanied their study sessions. Yet, a part of him felt this was a burden he had to shoulder alone. "Thanks," he mumbled, the weight of the message settling heavily in his chest. "I think I need to handle this myself, for now." The rest of the day stretched before him, each class a frustrating distraction. During defense against the dark arts, his mind wandered from Professor Flitwick's lecture on jinxes to the cryptic message. He stole glances at Malfoy across the room, but the blonde Slytherin seemed oblivious, smirking and whispering to Crabbe and Goyle. Was it him? It felt too obvious, a ploy too transparent. The rest of the day crawled by. Herbology offered a brief escape into the world of magical plants, but even the delicate venomous tentacula couldn't hold his attention for long. By the time dinner arrived, Harry was a bundle of nervous anticipation. He barely touched his food, much to the amusement and slight concern of Ron across the Great Hall. Stealing another look at Luna, who was now engrossed in discussing flobberworms with a surprising enthusiasm, Harry made his decision. He wouldn't tell his friends where he was going, not wanting to worry them further, but he couldn't ignore the note either. With a pounding heart, he resolved to face the mystery of the shadow head-on, whatever dangers it might hold. As the sun began its descent, casting long shadows across the grounds. Harry snuck out of the castle under the cover of twilight. The whomping willow loomed in the distance, its gnarled branches whipping menacingly in the evening breeze. A shiver ran down his spine, a mix of apprehension and a strange sense of anticipation. He gripped his wand tightly, the familiar weight a source of comfort amidst the encroaching darkness. As Harry crept closer, the whomping willow seemed to sense his presence. The heavy branches lashed out with surprising speed, snapping at the air where he had just been standing moments before. With a yelp, Harry stumbled backward, narrowly avoiding a collision. He gritted his teeth, muttering a curse under his breath. "Come on," he hissed, urging himself forward. "Just focus on getting past the darn tree." He broke into a run, weaving between the flailing branches, his heart pounding in his chest. Just as he thought he was about to be caught, a small gap appeared in the thrashing boughs. With a desperate lunge, Harry squeezed through the opening, landing hard on the damp earth on the other side. He lay there for a moment, gasping for breath, his ears ringing with the sound of the whomping willow's fury. Slowly, he pulled himself up, wincing as pain shot through his scraped knee. He brushed himself off, his robes snagged and muddy, but unharmed. Glancing back at the whomping willow, he couldn't help but let out a shaky breath of relief. He had done it. Now, the real challenge lay ahead. Harry pressed on, following the faint earthen path that led away from the whomping willow. The dense foliage overhead cast an eerie twilight, making it difficult to see where he was going. He squinted, trying to pierce the gloom, his hand instinctively reaching for his wand. "Lumos," he murmured, muttering the spell for light. The tip of his wand illuminated a narrow path ahead, its twists and turns disappearing into the encroaching darkness. He took a tentative step forward, a knot of unease tightening in his stomach. The Forbidden Forest was always a dangerous place, but venturing in after dark felt especially reckless. Yet, a sense of urgency propelled him forward. He had to find what he was looking for. In the dimly lit library, a hushed conversation crackled between Philip and Eleanor. Ensconced amidst towering bookshelves that cast long, inky shadows, they meticulously pored over a dusty tome titled, History of the Gryffindor House. "Anything?" Eleanor whispered, her voice barely a murmur over the rhythmic scratch of quill on parchment. Philip furrowed his brow, his concentration etched on his face as he meticulously scanned the faded inscription on the page. "The usual suspects," he finally muttered, his voice low. "The Founders, Dumbledore, the Weasley lineage." His voice trailed off momentarily before a spark of recognition flickered in his gaze, abruptly halting his monotonous recitation. "Harry Potter," he breathed, a hint of revelation dawning in his voice as he straightened, his posture shifting with newfound purpose. Eleanor's brow furrowed in confusion. "What about Harry?" she whispered, leaning closer to Philip. "He's just a student, sure, a brave one at that, but why would they include him in the official history already?" A thoughtful expression flickered across Philip's face. His finger lingered on the line mentioning Harry, and a glint of determination steeled his gaze. "That's what I intend to find out," he murmured. "It's highly unusual to include a current student in the official house history. There must be a reason they singled him out, something significant about his past or perhaps his future." The library seemed to grow quieter, the weight of Philip's words hanging heavy in the air. The inscription in the book seemed to glow with a newfound intrigue, beckoning them to delve deeper into the mystery surrounding Harry Potter. "I don't know why Harry was included with the Gryffindors in this book, when he isn't in Gryffindor," said Eleanor. "That's because the Sorting Hat put him in Ravenclaw at his own request," said Philip. "After all, Harry has made most of the Gryffindors his enemies and is friends with Draco Malfoy. Plus, he's our friend and I can't see him being friends with Ron and Hermione." Eleanor slammed the heavy tome shut, the sound echoing through the hushed library. "Maybe Harry wasn't meant to be in Gryffindor," she said to Philip, a hint of frustration in her voice. "I'm not sure, but I already know that the book got it wrong, just as it was wrong about Harry being friends with Ron and Hermione." Philip's smile faltered slightly. "Maybe," he conceded, "but there has to be a reason for his inclusion. We can't just dismiss it." He tapped his finger thoughtfully against the book's worn cover. Perhaps the Sorting Hat saw something more in him, something that aligns with Gryffinder's values even if it doesn't fit the typical mold. A flicker of curiosity ignited in Eleanor's eyes. "You think the Sorting Hat can make mistakes?" "Not exactly," Philip replied, shaking his head. "It considers a student's desires, as well as their inherent traits. Perhaps Harry, for some reason, never wanted to be in Gryffindor, and the Hat respected his choice." Eleanor pondered this for a moment. "But why Ravenclaw for us, then? Why didn't we join him in Gryffindor?" Philip's expression turned guarded. "That's complicated," he said, his voice dropping to a low murmur. "Let's just say despite my Muggle background, my family has loyalties that go beyond house colors. But trust me, Eleanor, Harry being in this book is a clue. We just need to figure out what it means." The weight of Philip's words hung heavy in the air. The inscription in the book seemed to hold a hidden message, a secret waiting to be unraveled. A shiver of anticipation ran down Eleanor's spine. The mystery of Harry Potter, and his connection to Gryffindor history, had just become a whole lot more intriguing. Meanwhile, Harry was still feeling the sting of scraped knees and a throbbing ankle, as he pushed deeper into the Forbidden Forest. The path, barely a whisper of a trail underfoot, twisted and turned like a mischievous serpent, making him question his sense of direction. He squinted through the dense foliage, the pale light from his wand doing little to pierce the deepening twilight. Every rustle of leaves, every snap of a twig sent shivers down his spine, raising the hairs on his arms like a flock of startled birds. He wasn't sure how long he'd been navigating the treacherous path, when it abruptly ended at a clearing bathed in an unsettling luminescence. In the center stood a colossal oak, its branches gnarled and ancient, reaching towards the darkening sky like skeletal fingers grasping for the heavens. The eerie glow emanated from beneath the tree, casting an unnatural light on the surrounding foliage, painting the leaves with an otherworldly sheen. Curiosity, a persistent itch in his mind, battled with a deep-seated sense of caution in Harry's stomach. This wasn't on any map he'd ever seen of the Forbidden Forest, nor had any Hogwarts professor ever mentioned such a sight. Taking a deep breath, Harry cautiously approached the oak, his grip tightening on his wand. As he drew closer, the luminescence intensified, revealing a shimmering pool of water nestled at the base of the tree. It bubbled faintly, the surface disturbed by unseen currents, like a cauldron on the verge of boiling over. A prickling sensation ran down Harry's arm, a sense of power, of magic unlike anything he'd ever felt before. It was a primal pull, a siren song that beckoned him closer, urging him to unravel the secrets held within the pool's depths. Hesitantly, he knelt by the pool. The water was clear and still, reflecting the distorted image of his face in the unnatural light. But then, something shifted. The reflection wavered, and a face emerged from the depths, not his own, but a woman's, her features etched with the wisdom of ages. Her eyes, the color of molten silver, held Harry's gaze with an intensity that sent a tremor through him, pinning him in place like a moth drawn to a flame. "Harry Potter," the woman spoke, her voice a soft whisper that echoed in the clearing despite the lack of wind. Her words sent a jolt through Harry. How did she know his name? In the heart of the Forbidden Forest, far from prying eyes, he'd thought himself alone. Yet, here she was, a being of unknown origin, addressing him directly. Fear, cold and clammy, began to creep up his spine, but it was overshadowed by a burgeoning sense of awe and a prickling curiosity. Who was this woman, and what secrets did the pool hold? Harry then stammered, his voice barely a whisper, "How do you know who I am?" The woman's lips curved into a gentle smile, the wrinkles around her eyes deepening. "The forest whispers many secrets, young Harry," she replied, her voice carrying the melody of a lullaby and the strength of a storm. "And yours is a name that echoes through its ancient halls, a name woven into the very fabric of this place." A shiver ran down Harry's spine. The Forbidden Forest had always felt different, a place of untamed magic and a brooding sense of mystery. But now, with this woman's words, it felt alive, a vast, sentient being that held him in its gaze. "But why?" Harry pressed, his voice gaining a sliver of confidence despite the tremor in his hand. "Why am I here? What does this pool have to do with me?" The woman's gaze drifted towards the shimmering water, its surface rippling as if in response to his questions. "This pool," she began, her voice dropping to a hushed reverence, "holds the memories of the forest itself. It has witnessed the rise and fall of countless creatures, the changing seasons whispered on the wind, and the secrets carried on the breath of forgotten magic." A flicker of apprehension crossed Harry's face. "Memories? Like people's memories?" The woman nodded slowly, the moonlight catching the silver glint in her eyes. "The forest remembers those who have walked its paths, especially those who possess a connection to its magic, a connection like a whispered promise carried on the breeze." Her eyes locked with Harry's once more, their intensity unwavering. "And you, Harry Potter, possess a connection deeper than you know. A connection that binds you not only to this place, but to a destiny yet to unfold." Harry's breath caught in his throat. Destiny. The word hung heavy in the air, laden with an unknown weight. He was just Harry, a boy with a scar and a knack for trouble. What destiny could possibly await him in the heart of this forbidden forest? Yet, there was something in the woman's gaze, a spark of recognition that ignited a curiosity he couldn't ignore. He had stumbled upon something far greater than he could have ever imagined, and a thrilling sense of adventure, tinged with a healthy dose of fear, bubbled up in his chest. "So, what's my destiny?" said Harry. "I know that people think I'm the one who will defeat Lord Voldemort, but I just can't see that happening." A flicker of sadness crossed the woman's silver eyes. "Ah, Lord Voldemort," she sighed, a hint of weariness creeping into her voice. "His shadow has loomed large over this land for far too long. But your destiny, Harry, is not solely defined by him." Harry clutched his wand tighter, the familiar sensation grounding him amidst the whirlwind of emotions. "So, what's my destiny?" he pressed, his voice gaining a sliver of determination. "I know that people think I'm the one who will defeat him, but I just can't see that happening. I mean, I'm just Harry." A soft smile played on the woman's lips. "Just Harry, are you? Young one, appearances can be deceiving. You possess a strength that goes beyond what you can see. But destiny is not a fixed path. It is a tapestry woven with choices, with courage, and with the will to do what is right." Her gaze returned to the shimmering pool, its surface swirling with a newfound intensity. "The forest can offer you a glimpse, Harry. A glimpse into your own potential, the magic that lies dormant within you." A wave of uncertainty washed over Harry. Gazing into a magic pool to see his future felt like something out of a fantastical story, not real life. But the woman's words resonated with him. The forest did feel different, alive with a magic that hummed beneath the surface. Perhaps, just perhaps, there was something to be learned here. "A glimpse," he echoed, his voice barely above a whisper. "What kind of glimpse?" The woman's smile softened further. "That, young Harry," she said, her voice laced with a hint of mischief, "is for you to discover." Harry frowned, a thought igniting in his mind. Maybe his destiny wasn't solely about defeating Voldemort, but about something bigger, exposing the flaws within the wizarding world itself. After all, hadn't he already challenged the rigid sorting system at Hogwarts, by being placed in Ravenclaw despite his Gryffindor-esque bravery? And what about his unlikely friendship with Draco Malfoy, a bridge between houses that defied centuries of prejudice. The sorting system, he blurted out, the words tumbling from his lips. It doesn't make sense. It labels students at such a young age, shoving them into categories that might not fit. What if someone like me, who values both bravery and wit, doesn't fit neatly into one box? A flicker of approval lit up the woman's silver eyes. A keen observation, Harry, she said. The world is rarely black and white. Magic flows through all kinds of people, in unexpected ways. The sorting system is just one small facet of a much larger tapestry. A surge of purpose coursed through Harry. He wasn't just here to learn about his own destiny, he was here to learn how to challenge the status quo. The forest, with its ancient magic and forgotten memories, could be the key to unraveling the truth about the wizarding world's hidden inequalities. Perhaps, he thought, his destiny wasn't just about defeating a dark wizard, but about building a world where everyone, regardless of house or bloodline, could embrace their unique magic. Can the pool show me how to change things? He asked, his voice brimming with newfound determination. How to make the wizarding world a place where everyone feels like they belong. The woman's smile deepened, a knowing glint in her eyes. The pool can offer you a path, Harry, she replied, but the choices you make will determine the destination. Are you ready to step into the unknown? With a deep breath, the weight of his potential pressing down on him, Harry looked at the shimmering pool. The answer, clear as day, echoed within him. Yes, he said, his voice ringing with newfound resolve. I'm ready.